the cover is a picture of a beach on in Bowen Island that I regularly go to. I collaborated with an artist who only does Bowen Island pictures, and I've lived here for 40 years, so every picture had a memory to me. And was gorgeous. This was a picture of snow on the beach. Nick, my collaborator, called this Sunrise on Mount Gardner, and this is a watercolor. I've called it Rebirth of Light. Losing the dark, a creep of sun on the backs of late autumn trees. They wave their turning leaves towards the light. Transformation happens here when the last frog has spoken and the grass is weary with the weight of dew. All the world beckons to be unzipped, made visible on this naked September morn. This is another beach on the island. As you can tell, he likes doing logs and beaches, and they're so wonderful. It's called Kate's Bay, and it's a watercolor as well. And my poem is called Caught in a Dream. One summer, I swam alone in the icy tongue of a fjord. In the glacial green of Norway's waters. Now, home, I paddle up to my chest and float. Practical beach shoes pointing to the North Star. The glow of gold on blue turns liquid turquoise. Coastal mountains behind, frosted with the weight of amber snow. I can feel the suck of a waxing moon. It brings me back to thick copper logs, the sparkle of beach glass, and the fortress of trees surrounding me like a dream catcher. This picture is of Kate's Bay, a beach on Bowen Island, and the water really is that color. It is also a watercolor, and it's caught in a dream. One summer I swam alone in the icy tongue of a fjord, willing myself to breathe in the glacial green of Norway's waters. Now, home, I paddle up to my chest and float, practical beach shoes pointing to the North Star. The glow of gold on blue turns liquid turquoise. Coastal mountains behind, frosted with the weight of amber snow. I can feel the suck of a waxy moon. It brings me back to thick copper logs, the sparkle of beach glass, and the fortress of trees surrounding me like a dream catcher. This is my favorite picture in the book. And it's Nick's favorite too. This is the causeway. This is a lagoon. The part on the right is the ocean, and on the other side is fresh water. And we always go for a walk there. So it's called Causeway in Fog. This is a place which aches for the blue of shimmer that's held in water till sleepy with the weight of blue. I want to penetrate this scrim of snowy fog. It settles quietly, a white feather floating to the tops of the firs. Let me graze the gilded fingers that stroke the bay's edge. It leaves a sheen on the solitary path and wends gently between the muted land and sea. The sun's luster fills me. I'm a chalice spilling over with the alchemy of gold. This is the road that my collaborator lives on, and he has done many studies of it in all seasons. So this is Buchanan Road, he called it, and I called it Winter Crystal. The snow, a silk scarf, wraps the world in its cold beauty. Roads are clear, a blue ribbon slips by the sheared verge. Centuries of Christmas trees are draped in lace. And what do I know? I know that there is no other purpose to living than to become part of it all, a blinding reflection of light. This is a picture of a tower that we have on Bowen Island that we celebrate. 2,000 people come out and celebrate Remembrance Day, and someone stands on the top of the tower there and plays taps. So I wrote a Remembrance Day poem, and maybe not what they expected. It's called Remembrance Day. On Remembrance Day, the community gathers as one voice to mark the loved and forgotten. Poppies fall like petals onto the white cenotaph. Voices sing a piece, and I don't know where I stand. Sometimes I'm caught in the sweetness of the lone trumpeter playing taps from the top of the tower, how it draws us backwards to find muddy fields and marsh, city streets and jungle, to mourn death so far away, yet still remembered, and yet does this occasion marked by 21 gun salutes and flyovers stop the deadly anger that spreads between scores of countries. I don't want to celebrate war. Can't mouth the prayers or bow my head, not to forget, but to weep at the folly dividing us, even as we beg for flowers to grow in Flanders fields. This picture is a picture of a church, and the trees are obscuring the huge window. And I used to mentor students there in a writing group, and we would lean on the window, and one time we heard kids singing inside. So it's called Sunday Bells. The press of grass was imprinted on my knees that time I listened to the soft chorus of children painting the chapel in pastels, small voices upturned in song. My being warmed as I felt the words shine like 1,000 small suns. You are the world's original innocence, a bouquet of prayer flags scattering grace. Your melody spreads near and far to places of shadow, renewing those hearts that are tattered and torn. This is called Creek on Mike's Lower, and what Nick has done so brilliantly is capture the color of the stones, which are exactly what they're like. And this is a title poem for my book. It's very short. Water forgets its own name. In spring, a creek trickles to a swollen lake. Water forgets its own name. And this is Nick called it Waterfall on Mount Gardner Road, which of course made me think of what you're not going to find relating to it, but here it is. It's called Veil. The last thing to go on was the veil, filigreed with seed pearls. It covered the crown of my head and rippled over my shoulders. It left no sound but the gentle whisper of lace, like the serenity of a forest sewn together with the melt and swish of the froth of cool water. It spilled over the wet ground, saying, Sanctity hides here. The gleam of beginnings transforms the ordinary into one altering moment when love surrenders easily to the eager, hungry heart. This is probably one of our most famous things about Bowen is Killarney Lake, and it becomes absolutely full of water lilies. impossible to canoe because they're everywhere. And he called it Killarney Lake, and I called it Where Lilies Grow. The lake reflects back half my life. She has seen me run in circumference over and over when I tried to chase guilt and make my body disappear. She saw me weep when love lost. She fed my senses in the marshes with the pungent scent of skunk cabbage. She changed. It snowed one fall day onto the ferns and moss, framed the lake in its autumnal abundance. One time we built a fire, skated on her frozen back under a full wolf moon. In the greening of spring, fiddlehead ferns lined the path with their tenderness. This is the dock the ferry comes into on Bowen Island, and he's done an excellent job of underneath the dock of the beautiful, beautiful colors of the posts. And he called it Snug Cove Dock, and I called it Quayside. If I was a gull, I would land right here, tucked into the algaed wharf, and watch the ferry slide into the dock. I listened to the girl who saw me out of her window when she called me beautiful. She noticed my red-tipped beak, snowy breast, and wings that were edged with pewter. I would watch for fish swimming in the jade waters below. I'd glimpse my reflection and see 1,000 fractured ways of light. This is a very famous tree on Bowen. It's been around for generations, and we gather there in Crippen Park for a long time. And he calls it Tree at Snug Cove, and I called it the tree. The tree reminds me of a silver talking stick or King Arthur's sword buried deep within the stone. Oh, ancient relic, you have so many stories to tell of the geese that wander on the emerald palette, and the dogs, always black and smiling, chasing and charging through the clutch of birds, tails wagging as each goose slips noisily back into their ocean refuge. The grass is where I spread my blanket to feast with my family on bread and cheese, blackberries as large as my thumb. This place remembers the laughter of our children so many generations past. They dug holes in the pebbles, looking out for crabs too. This luster of blue, blue day covers me when I rest. I count the crickets' calls where time is not linear. They have been speaking to us for centuries, marking the years. My favorite picture because he got into doing stones, and he wanted the stones to be visible to the very, very edge of the painting, which was a remarkable job. And the blue was so arresting. So I called it skipping. When you were 5, you'd skip flat rocks and flick them expertly into the mirrored sea. They left behind widening concentric circles, much like a reflection of our own lives. You knew how to throw and release, a mother's greatest quest, the picking up and letting go. You once said, just graze the surface. And when I did, the stone skipped 3, 4, 5 times across the sheet of gold. You took my breath away, for you were already reaching towards your future. With a flick of a wrist, you were grown. This is Nick's first oil painting that he ever did, and it so captures storms on Bowen. So I called it tempestuous, and I've dedicated it to my daughter Katie. I remember 35 years ago when the ocean froze, making waves like wax. They turned hard and green. The cage of my chest drew in air, white and salty. This stinging made my cheeks bloom, even as I huddled under down and wool. The trees bent forward, and I labored, clenching black earth with their roots. Bottle green sea clawed at the icy stones. I was alive, shouting your name, singing Puccini, and spinning in circles with you. We were pressed together by the surge of the gale, but we weren't afraid. I held you tightly in awe of the miracle of being together in this bone-chilling Arctic storm. This is called Mount Gardner Dock, and you can't see, but there, as most government docks have, they have a red rail. And he did this in acrylics, and I called it Our Place. My child holds my hand as we walk barefoot down the warm plank dock. The red handrail is a celebration, a crimson streak on a hummingbird's cheek. I showed you the clouds. They look like scales shimmering on a salmon's iridescent back. My little one, here is our place, this rock and forest and vast pewter ocean. It laps gently against those blue muscled footings. Your delight as I bend to tell you a secret as small as a periwinkle. My heart is the home you'll return to when dusk comes and daylight drains the sky. He's called Collingwood Point. It is another watercolor. People can't believe his watercolors because it's so incredibly bright, but he layers them. And I've called it Scarlet Orb. Glorious hues of sunset paint the western sky. A penelope of indigo, russet, tangerine stains the sailor's sea. The orb of day descends to its rest, a mere golden speck on the edge of the world. The surf presses forward, leaves the traces of wind and phosphorescent foam to steal across its rock-bound shore. Then quietly, without a sigh, night comes. Nick calls this Sunset Crayola Beach, which you have seen already, is a pocket beach, maybe holding about 6 people. And what I liked best about this picture was the fraying rope, and it's called Twine and Brine. The boat on the left was like my neighbor's. I'd been in it once. I had swallowed my fear long enough to stand on the white deck. My heart was racing as a wave forced me to suddenly, awkwardly sit down. No, I like the idea of boats, the silhouettes bobbing in the sun, calm waters, indigo clouds blanket the evening. The log I settled against was silken, weathered. Towards Gibson's were Delph Mountains. They gathered this palette of color to their breasts like stray lambs. Picture this, just this. 2 small boats, braided rope, and the sky breaking overhead, sunset spilling like gold onto our upturned faces. This is Cape Roger Curtis, where I go every day to take pictures. And this is my final poem. Fleeting. I sit here holy, baptized by extravagant color, as the day closes and the beach has deepened to darkness. Pebbles will be gathered in a drawstring purse. The mountain sky hides under clouds that change from coral to indigo. Being here, right here, is a blessing for my restless mind. Hues of a summer evening, moose stealing their green. Tonight's pull and push of tides will fashion a black womb that will rock us all to sleep. Thank you very much.